Rosie, we need a bit of dessert, and nothing's better than a cake. You can make a pudding out of this recipe, but I like making it into a cake. And what it is a caramelised apple cake, but what I do is put some ginger in it, but not one, but 2 types of ginger. I'm going to use the crystallised ginger, which is ginger cooked with sugar in a way. If you have a little taste of it, it's really sweet.
It's deceiving though. You think it was going to be sweet, but it's actually quite fiery.
It is, and it's got a bit of punch to it. What I'm going to get you to do, Rosie, is I've got some ginger over there. If you can microplane one of those knobs of ginger, that'd be great.
Certainly can.
Now, my bowl here, my pastry bowl, I'm going to put 2 cups of self-raising flour. Important to use really good flour because if you're using good ingredients, everything works out beautifully. This is lovely self-raising flour. Pop that over there. Now, I'm also going to add some corn flour. A tablespoon of corn flour goes straight in there like that. Use my whisk to just get it all out.
Now, I'm really glad that you're making ginger cake because Jamaican ginger cake in England was one of my favourite cakes to have, and it's all kind of sickly and gooey, so I actually think this might be a little bit healthier than that, but I do really like a good ginger cake.
Healthy and cake don't go in the same sentence, but you know, cake is all about fun. You know, it's that nice thing that you have at the end of the day. The kids have been good, so I'll make them a nice little cake, and I put ginger in it because I know they won't eat a lot of it. I love ginger.
Just any reason for a cup of tea for me.
Exactly. Now, what I'm doing is just stirring the dry ingredients so they're all mixed in together. Now I just add the wet ingredients. So this is a really, really easy cake to make. Something you can make with the kids really easily. Now, I've got 150 grams of butter that I've melted nice and gently. Just melt it down. You don't want to boil it away. You don't want it too hot. Just melt it so it's nice and soft. I'm also going to add some milk. I've got a cup of milk that goes in here like that. And Rosie, I'm going to get you to grab 2 eggs. That's enough ginger there like that. So I'll get you to scrape this up here like this.
2 eggs for you, sir.
There we go, straight into there. I'm going to put the ginger straight into there. I'm also going to put the crystallised ginger in there as well.
Straight in there?
Straight in there. This is, I mean, I should work the milk and the eggs into it, but we're just going to throw it all in together. That's it, throw them in there. And then once you've done that, if you can grab some of the golden syrup, pour that in. It's about 1/3 of a cup of golden syrup. In it goes. Look
And
at
if
that.
golden syrup isn't for you, you can use brown rice syrup, you can use agave nectar, and you can use maple syrup as well. There's lots of different things you can use.
You could, or you could just sweeten it up a little bit. You could use honey as well, or
Yep,
sweeten it up with
honey's
some extra sugar. And you can see this batter comes together really, really easy with a minimum of fuss.
Yep.
Now, what I'm going to do is slide this aside and get you to bring that cake tin in.
Here we
and
go.
you can see what I've done, been real clever. I line the bottom of it like this, and I line the sides. It just makes it a whole lot easier to take out. I mean, you can spray it and then line it with sugar or dust it with flour. I find lining it with baking paper is the easiest way. Now, what I've got here, I've pre-done some apples, 4 apples, I've quartered them, about 50 grams of butter in there, about 50 grams of sugar, caramelised it, thrown the apples into it, and just let it stir around till it starts to caramelise a little bit like this. You've got to be careful not to take it too far, otherwise the apples become really mushy. And the apples you use are Granny Smith's. The green apples, they hold up to this type of cooking. If you're using the red apples, they're more for eating, and they will fall apart.
Can you use pear, or...?
You can use pear, but you've got to make sure that the pear is quite firm. If you're using a ripe pear, I can tell you straight away it will just fall apart. And what I do is put a bit of the caramel in the bottom of it. What I can do sometimes is I'll save some of that caramel, put the apples in the bottom, save some of that caramel, and I'll pour that onto the batter at the end, which I'll make it even more delicious. Now, what you do, Rosie, is just with the back of the spatula, just spread them out so they're sort of evenly coated on the bottom there. It looks great like this. Now, what I'll do is get you to pour that, and I'll use my spatula just to wipe down the side of it. Now, there we go. Now, when I was a kid, I would always lick the bowl like this. Mum would save me some in it, but these spatulas make sure they get most of it. So what I'll do is I'll get most of this out like this, and I'll leave some of it there, Rosie, just for later on. Now, this is going to go into the oven. We'll give it a bake, and then we'll take it out, let it cool down, and then we'll hook into it. In it goes. Rosie, I've let the cake cool down a little bit, and what I'll do is I'll open the spring form up like that, loosen off the paper, and you can just close it like that so it's nice and gentle. Pop the lid on top of it, and then flip it over like that, and then you do the international "I hope my cake's going to be okay" sign, and then you just loosen it off, and off it comes. So off comes the top there like that. The trick to do this is also to do it while it's quite warm.
Yeah.
If you let it set and go cold, the sugar goes hard and then it just falls apart. And I'm a bit worried about this, that it actually is all sticky and it's all stuck to the lid and it's not going to be really nice. But then again, I made it, so it's going to be perfect, isn't it? There we go. Now what I'm going to do, dust it with a bit of icing sugar over the top there.
Smells good.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, the ginger's starting to come through, but you've got the caramel of the apples and everything. And is that icing? Now, if
Get out of the way.
if you inhale icing sugar, is that going to be bad for you as well? The nutritionist nightmare. Is there a nutritionist dying right now?
You do that, we dissolve when you do that on us.
Is that what it is? Now, what I'm going to do, I'll just put a little mint leaf over the top there, just so you get the idea of it. I've got a little bit of the ginger here over the top there, just to make it look nice and pretty.
That's lovely.
It's a simple little cake, isn't it? You know, it's got some lovely flavours to it.
Simple's the best.
We'll use 2 types of ginger. Now, what I'm going to do is cut into that so we can have a nice piece of it and really taste it, because there's no point looking at cake when you can eat it. There we go. Oh, look at that. Just pull that mint through all the way through there like that. It's nice and soft.
Gorgeous.
It's still a bit warm, which is the way I like to eat cake, Rosie. Now, I'm just going to pull that out there. If you can slide that cake out of the way, I'll just... There we go. And look at that ring of icing sugar. There we go. We'll put this piece of cake in the middle there. And look at that. Looks great, doesn't it?
That looks really, really good.
Now, what I'm going to use is some creme fraiche. Dollop straight on there like that. And then, because we can, a bit more icing sugar. Rosie...
Oh, you're at the ready.
You're a bit light with the mint. We've got to make this look nice and pretty. We're going to take this off
ready.
here. Oh, I know you are.
I'm in the zone.
A bit of mint on top there and some more icing sugar. Look, I'm going to hold you back for a little bit and just taunt you even more icing sugar over the top there. There we go. Another nutritionist just rolling over and just...
We're in a perfect good bit of cake.
Go on,
Oh,
dive in
okay.
there. Go on, dive in there. Now, what we're looking for, we know we're going to taste the apple. We know we're going to taste the caramel. What we want to do is taste that ginger. I'm just going to get a small piece and a small piece of the creme fraiche there.
Oh, I can taste the ginger. It's just beautiful. It's not really, really powerful, but it's most definitely there. That is delicious.
It's a really nice cake. It's nice and moist as well. It's still nice and fluffy. It's got a lot of air to it. It's a really nice cake. I'd have to say it's one of my best cakes I've made so far.
Well, I just think we've really done a lot of lovely things with ginger. It's a very warming, very comforting kind of ingredient. So I think we've shown how we can use that in a lot of diverse ways.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly.